For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's Tuesday practice of UCLA week. And normally when it's rivalry week, we see a lot of camera trucks lined outside Howard Jones Field, and that was the case today. But it seemed like there was a different reason why the trucks were out here today, and that was evidenced by the questions Clay Helton fielded in his post-practice presser. It was a lot about his job security, his future at USC going forward. How did Clay handle those questions, Dan?
Well, I mean, I think he's not used to, and nobody is, to have USC at 5-5 and scrambling for bowl eligibility, in UCLA week. And you got a UCLA team that's 2-8, and normally there wouldn't be this much, angst about what's going to happen. And if USC doesn't win Saturday at the Rose Bowl, the chances are they're not going to be bowl eligible, which is just incomprehensible when you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they started out the year at number 15, and the Pac-12 is not, it's not a great Pac-12. And the crazy thing is, the really only good team in the Pac-12 is Washington State, and USC beat them. So how you predict, where this all goes, I don't know. But Clay was extremely positive as far as, even saying, I plan to be here another 15 years, coach till I'm 60. I've gotten nothing but great support here. Lynn Swan has been nothing but supportive in our, Monday meetings that we have, and we had one this Monday after the Cal loss, and couldn't be more supportive. So it was one of those, I understand maybe what's going on, although he didn't really, because, was asked about, well, what about the fan base, and where are they? And he just didn't go there that much. He just said, they're supposed to be passionate, and you understand that, and you reporters are supposed to report, and we're supposed to do what we do, and our job is to, win football games. He certainly said that, and that, hasn't been happening. And they've got two more, opportunities to do so. But I thought he just stayed on message. I mean, things are positive. The university's positive. This is all the only place he wants to be. Things are going to be fine next year. This is just one of those things, and we're gonna survive it and do quite well. We'll see.
Yeah, it seems like he's taking the angle that this is more of an isolated season rather than a problem of the whole tenure of his tenure. When asked about his bowl, is there's pressure to be bowl eligible, he said the only pressure I feel going forward is to make sure that the seniors have a great experience these last two games. What do you take from what his overall positivity?
Well, the point you just made there is not a point I would make. I mean, I don't think, and Clay raised this on Sunday evening, I don't think this is a thing where you go into this saying we owe it to the seniors to send them off well. I think it's up to the seniors. I mean, you want the seniors to send this team off well, to send themselves off well. You don't want your seniors to be, the guy that makes the play that gets Cal back in the game with the snap into the end zone to start the second half and start a, kind of a Cal run that they couldn't have made on their own. You don't want a senior to be the guy that gets caught for the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that kept USC from getting the ball back, which they would have almost certainly done had they not had that penalty at the very end and allowed, Cal to run out the clock. So, I don't quite get that we owe it to the seniors or we want to send them off well or whatever. The seniors owe it, to themselves to send themselves off well. And I think they owe it to the younger guys to lead the way and show the way and get that going. So there are ways that, Clay looks at things that maybe a lot of other people don't. But I just don't know that that's a great motivator to say we want to win one for the seniors.
Yeah, the point you made about how people view it differently than maybe Clay Helton does, how do you reconcile, it's almost like two different groups of the fan base who are very upset at this, and then Clay Helton and his positivity. At some point, those are going to clash if they're not clashing already. What do you make of that? Something's got to give.
I think there's been a clash all year long. I mean, there's been sort of a reality-based, evaluation of where this program is, and then there's been Clay's evaluation of where this program is, and those two don't often meet. This is going to be a run-first team and a physical team and a disciplined, team that's going to do things. And they haven't been able to do almost any of that. And yet there's no sense of, man, we just didn't reach it. We didn't reach where we wanted to go. We're not where we want to be, and all of that kind of thing. They're on two different tracks. I don't think there's any question. I think the media has also gone on a different track at this point. I don't know there are any national media who think if there weren't, and there are all kinds of difference of opinions on what the buyout is and how that's going to work and all that, what its impact will be. But I don't know that there's anybody in terms of national media who says USC has to keep Clay. I mean, he's on the, if not at the top, as close as you can be, of coaches listed on the hot seat. And most of the national people who address the issue, put that USC job first. Now, they fired the Louisville coach, so Clay is, I think, without a doubt, is the number one job in the country that people are looking at and saying, does he survive or not? And that's why we had the 4 TV trucks here.
Yeah. In other USC news, Helton did confirm that Levi Jones is no longer on USC's roster. He said Levi Jones did violate a team rule, but he wouldn't go into it further. So, Dan, what do you take away from that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, last week something was going on. I mean, we were hearing about a hip injury and all that didn't seem so obvious. And then by the end of the week, we understand that there might have been a meeting before the game Saturday, and you're not going to dress, and we're going to talk to you again Monday. And on Monday, what I'm told is that Levi was given the choice. You can stay in school, but you will not be on the football team, or you can transfer with a goal of getting ready to play in the NFL, and we'll be glad to give you good recommendations and all that. But it certainly seems like what they were thinking and the reason why doesn't square with what Levi was thinking. It sounds like it, similar to maybe the Bubba Bolden situation, just in the fact that it didn't seem like anyone, either of those players, knew it was imminent, that there was something coming up that might separate them from the team. And, kid's a good player. Maybe has some issues in terms of just discipline and dedication to just football and getting that done, but that's he's a kid can make plays and was a great recruit for USC to get out of Austin, Texas. I mean, it was a big coup to come up with Levi. So there've been a lot of kids now, especially out-of-state kids, that have just they're no longer here. Yeah. And the roster is certainly downsizing.
Yeah, it seems like a developing story, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But as far as the actual UCLA week, the actual football part of this week, Vavae Malepeai, Cedric Ware, and Michael Pittman did return in full pads. Vi and Cedric Ware were limited, but it's good to see those guys back out even when their status was uncertain. Chumadoga, though, did not dress out. It was interesting. Clay Helton went up to him while the rest of the team was warming up and gave him a serious but short talk, so that was something to watch out for. But so far, it seems like USC is more healthier than we thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I did not think watching. I walked out a little bit with Vavae after the game Saturday. I didn't think he'd come back that strong on his ankle. He moved well. I mean, you can tell he's taped up extra. Iman Marshall taped up extra. Toa's taped up extra. But they're giving it the old college try. I was impressed with all of those guys. Cedric, with the AC sprain, you wouldn't have known it watching him, run the ball in the final 11 on 11. So I think that's a very much of a positive thing. That it looks like, I guess Brandon Peely has, some issue. What was it, an ankle, I guess? And,
it was like a left ankle foot type of injury. It happened during the beginning of practice. He hobbled over to the trainer's table and then at one point was carted to the sideline and then watched from there, but he's pretty gimpy.
And then Jacob Lichtenstein hit a shoulder, I guess it was. So those two guys didn't finish practice. But on the whole, they're in a better place than we thought they'd be.
Yeah. As far as the impact or the fallout from the loss to Cal, we asked a couple players and coaches, how do you have a first half like you did and then a second half? Specifically, JT Daniels, he arguably had one of the best first halves he's had all season, and then second half was a different story. You specifically asked quarterbacks coach Brian Ellis about that. What do you have to say?
Yeah, he had a great answer. He said, that's a really good question. And it was like, man, and Drebno talked about it too, Tim Drebno. And a lot of it was momentum. Just, giving away 2 points and then a big return on the free kick from the 20, which gets them, in the 45, I guess, of USC, and they get a quick score. And in a game where they thought they would be up 3 scores because they should have been up 4 scores. They shouldn't have given away probably the fake field goal chance to score, take the points. But then they've got the ball, a minute to go on the 10-yard line with Amon-Ra trying to, make a hero play, and he drops the ball. And so they don't get a score there. So they're up 14-0. And the next thing you know, it's 14-9, within, boom, boom, a couple of minutes. And everything changes. And there was nothing. He said, we tried to, that's on the coaches. We tried to figure out some things to change that, momentum, change things around. And we didn't get it done. And instead of, he said, in the first half, we had so many manageable third downs, and they just kept taking them. And the second half, they ended up with a lot of third and long, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12, because of mistakes or penalties or whatever. And they weren't able to manage and get those first downs and stay on the field, and ended up with 40 yards of offense in the second half. And just a complete wipeout the second half, and get beat 15-14. And without a sense of, what went away? Where was the confidence that they played with that first half? That just great confidence, and against a good defense. Here you had a chance to put up 4 scores on a really good defense that doesn't give up 4 scores in a whole game. And they only got 2, and then it turned out that wasn't enough because they couldn't get another one. And I don't know that they've got an answer. Yeah,
which is not a good sign if you're a USC fan. But any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I just think this is one of those weeks, and we've said it a lot this year, where you just have no idea where this is going. I mean, the UCLA people are unbelievably confident. I mean, they just know they're going to win this game. They're 2-8, and yet, man, they got it coming. Everything's working in their favor. It's on. They got USC right where they want them, and USC is thinking a lot of other thoughts. They're having meetings with the coaches about Clay and his future and all of that. There are a lot of thoughts going through those kids' heads, and a lot of disappointment. I mean, they're 2 plays away from being 7-3 and controlling their destiny in the Pac-12 South, and going to the championship game, and having a pretty good bowl game. And here now they're in a situation where they're not even sure they're going to a bowl game. Yeah. So to have all that going around in your head, and now you got to play your arch rival who has absolutely nothing to lose and feels really good about this game that they're going to host. This is a tough one to get through. And USC, I mean, the thing I got a sense of watching them today is the defense knows that if we can just basically shut UCLA down, if we can really, really put the clamps on them, that's where we're going to win this game. I thought the defense came out today and looked like they played really, really well Saturday. They gave up 207 yards total. That never, should lose the game.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of where this team is. But in terms of how are they going to react, they're so frustrated. They know they shouldn't be 5-5. They're not sure why they're 5-5. And this is not a place they expected to be. And how do you react to that? I don't think we know.
Yeah, I don't think we know. And that's something that we've ended instant analysis with a lot this season, which I think is a point in itself. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the Tuesday practice of UCLA week. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.